भूर्भुवस्सुवः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। भूर्भुवस्सुवः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। भूर्भुवस्सुवः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्।
गजानना हे शुभानना
गजानना हे शुभानना
गजानना हे शुभानना
गजानना हे शुभानना
परमनिरञ्जन गजवदना
परमनिरञ्जन गजवदना
परमनिरञ्जन गजवदना
परमनिरञ्जन गजवदना
वक्रतुण्डधर विघ्नविनाशा
वक्रतुण्डधर विघ्नविनाशा
वक्रतुण्डधर विघ्नविनाशा
वक्रतुण्डधर विघ्नविनाशा
प्रणवस्वरूपा पतिपुरीशा
प्रणवस्वरूपा पतिपुरीशा
प्रणवस्वरूपा पतिपुरीशा
प्रणवस्वरूपा पतिपुरीशा
सिद्धिविनायक पाहि गजानन
सिद्धिविनायक पाहि गजानन
सिद्धिविनायक पाहि गजानन
सिद्धिविनायक पाहि गजानन
परमनिरञ्जन गजवदना
परमनिरञ्जन गजवदना
परमनिरञ्जन गजवदना
परमनिरञ्जन गजवदना
गजानना हे शुभानना
गजानना हे शुभानना
परमनिरञ्जन गजवदना
परमनिरञ्जन गजवदना
वक्रतुण्डधर विघ्नविनाशा
वक्रतुण्डधर विघ्नविनाशा
प्रणवस्वरूपा पतिपुरीशा
प्रणवस्वरूपा पतिपुरीशा
सिद्धिविनायक पाहि गजानन
सिद्धिविनायक पाहि गजानन
हे शुभानना। श्री गुरु प्रतिवासा,
श्री गुरु प्रतिवासा,
श्री गुरु प्रतिवासा,
श्री गुरु प्रतिवासा।
साई ब्रह्मा विष्णु महेशा,
साई ब्रह्मा विष्णु महेशा,
साई ब्रह्मा विष्णु महेशा,
साई ब्रह्मा विष्णु महेशा।
श्री गुरु प्रतिवासा,
श्री गुरु प्रतिवासा।
अल्लाह भी तुम हो, मौला भी तुम हो,
अल्लाह भी तुम हो, मौला भी तुम हो,
अल्लाह भी तुम हो, मौला भी तुम हो,
अल्लाह भी तुम हो, मौला भी तुम हो।
सौराष्ट्र महावीर यीशु भी तुम हो,
सौराष्ट्र महावीर यीशु भी तुम हो,
सौराष्ट्र महावीर यीशु भी तुम हो,
सौराष्ट्र महावीर यीशु भी तुम हो।
राम रहीम हो, कृष्ण करीम हो,
राम रहीम हो, कृष्ण करीम हो,
राम रहीम हो, कृष्ण करीम हो,
राम रहीम हो, कृष्ण करीम हो।
श्री गुरु प्रतिवासा,
श्री गुरु प्रतिवासा,
साई ब्रह्मा विष्णु महेशा,
साई ब्रह्मा विष्णु महेशा।
श्री गुरु प्रतिवासा,
श्री गुरु प्रतिवासा।
अल्लाह भी तुम हो, मौला भी तुम हो,
अल्लाह भी तुम हो, मौला भी तुम हो,
सौराष्ट्र महावीर यीशु भी तुम हो,
सौराष्ट्र महावीर यीशु भी तुम हो,
राम रहीम हो, कृष्ण करीम 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 हो।
श्री गुरु प्रतिवासा।
दुर्गा भवानी माँ, जय जय साई माँ।
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 काली कपालिनी 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 माँ, जय जय साई माँ।
दुर्गा भवानी माँ, जय जय साई माँ।
दुर्गा भवानी माँ, जय जय साई माँ।
परम शिवानी माँ, जय जय साई माँ।
परम शिवानी माँ, जय जय जगदोधारिणी माँ जय जय साई माँ।
दुर्गा भवानी माँ जय जय साई माँ।
दुर्गा भवानी माँ जय जय साई माँ।
काली कपालिनी माँ जय जय साई माँ।
काली कपालिनी माँ जय जय साई माँ।
दुर्गा भवानी माँ जय जय साई माँ।
दुर्गा भवानी माँ जय जय साई माँ।
परम शिवानी माँ जय जय साई माँ।
परम शिवानी माँ जय जय साई माँ।
जगदोधारिणी 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 माँ जय जय साई माँ।
दुर्गा भवानी माँ जय जय साई माँ।
राम 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 परम सुमंगल राम राम राम।
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 जननी जानकी जीवन राम।
जननी जानकी जीवन राम।
जननी जानकी जीवन राम।
जननी जानकी जीवन राम।
जय जय राम साई राम जयतु रामा।
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 परम सुमंगल राम राम राम।
परम सुमंगल राम राम राम।
जय परम सुमंगल राम राम राम।
जय परम सुमंगल राम राम राम।
राम 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 परम सुमंगल राम राम राम।
राम 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 परम सुमंगल राम राम राम।
जननी जानकी जीवन राम।
जननी जानकी जीवन राम।
जय जय राम साई राम जयतु रामा।
जय जय राम साई राम जयतु रामा।
परम सुमंगल राम राम राम।
परम सुमंगल राम राम राम।
जय परम सुमंगल राम राम राम।
जय परम सुमंगल राम राम राम।
राम 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 परम सुमंगल राम राम राम।
साईनाथ भगवान साईनाथ भगवान।
साईनाथ भगवान साईनाथ भगवान।
साईनाथ भगवान साईनाथ भगवान।
साईनाथ भगवान साईनाथ भगवान।
सत्यं शिवं सुन्दरं साईनाथ भगवान।
सत्यं शिवं सुन्दरं साईनाथ भगवान।
सत्यं शिवं सुन्दरं साईनाथ भगवान।
सत्यं
सत्यसाईश शरणं गच्छामि
सत्यसाईश शरणं गच्छामि
साईनाथ भगवान साईनाथ भगवान
साईनाथ भगवान साईनाथ भगवान
सत्यं शिवं सुन्दरं साईनाथ भगवान
सत्यं शिवं सुन्दरं साईनाथ भगवान
साईनाथ भगवान साईनाथ भगवान
साईनाथ भगवान साईनाथ भगवान
बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि
बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि
धम्मं शरणं गच्छामि
धम्मं शरणं गच्छामि
संघं शरणं गच्छामि
संघं शरणं गच्छामि
सत्यसाईश शरणं गच्छामि
सत्यसाईश शरणं गच्छामि
सत्यसाईश शरणं गच्छामि
सत्यसाईश शरणं गच्छामि
साईनाथ भगवान साईनाथ भगवान गोविंद गोपाल जय नारायण गोपाल
गोपाल जय नारायण गोपाल
गोविंद गोपाल जय नारायण गोपाल
गोपाल जय नारायण गोपाल
माधव गोपाल मधुसूदन गोपाल
माधव गोपाल मधुसूदन गोपाल
माधव गोपाल मधुसूदन गोपाल
माधव गोपाल मधुसूदन गोपाल
केशव गोपाल मुकुंद गोपाल
केशव गोपाल मुकुंद गोपाल
केशव गोपाल मुकुंद गोपाल
केशव गोपाल मुकुंद गोपाल
गोविंद गोपाल जय नारायण गोपाल
गोविंद गोपाल जय नारायण गोपाल
माधव गोपाल मधुसूदन गोपाल
माधव गोपाल मधुसूदन गोपाल
केशव गोपाल मुकुंद गोपाल
केशव गोपाल मुकुंद गोपाल
केशव गोपाल मुकुंद गोपाल
केशव गोपाल मुकुंद गोपाल
गोविंद गोपाल जय नारायण गोपाल
जय कौसल्यानन्दन राम परमानन्द आनन्द राम
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 जय शिर्डीश परतीश राम जय प्रशान्ति साईश 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 राम
जय कौसल्यानन्दन राम परमानन्द आनन्द राम
जय कौसल्यानन्दन राम परमानन्द आनन्द
साईशरा
जय सुंदर साईशरा
जय सुंदर साईशरा
जय सुंदर साईशरा
जय कौसल्यानंदन राम परमानंद आनंद राम
जय कौसल्यानंदन राम परमानंद आनंद राम
जय शिरडीश पतीश राम जय प्रशांति साईशरा
जय शिरडीश परतीश राम जय प्रशांति साईशरा
जय कौसल्यानंदन राम परमानंद आनंद राम
जय कौसल्यानंदन राम परमानंद आनंद राम
मंगल पावन नाम जय सुंदर वैदेही राम
मंगल पावन नाम जय सुंदर वैदेही राम
जय सुंदर साईशरा
जय सुंदर साईशरा
जय सुंदर साईशरा
जय सुंदर साईशरा
जय कौसल्यानंदन राम परमानंद आनंद राम
नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर
पार्वती पतये हर हर
नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर
पार्वती पतये हर हर
हर हर शंकर महादेवा
हर हर शंकर महादेवा
हर हर शंकर महादेवा
हर हर शंकर महादेवा
हर 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 महादेवा
शिव 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 सदा शिवा
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 महादेवा सदा शिवा
महादेवा सदा शिवा
सदा शिवा महादेवा
सदा शिवा महादेवा
नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर
नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर
हर हर शंकर महादेवा
हर हर शंकर महादेवा
हर 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 महादेवा
हर 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 महादेवा
शिव 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 सदा शिवा
शिव 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 सदा शिवा
महादेवा सदा शिवा
महादेवा सदा शिवा
सदा शिवा महादेवा
सदा शिवा महादेवा
हर 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 महादेवा
हर 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 महादेवा
हर 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 महादेवा
हर 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 महादेवा
हर 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 महादेवा
हर हर महादेवा
शिव 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 सदा शिवा
शिव शिव
सदाशिवा महादेवा
सदाशिवा महादेवा
नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर
सुब्रह्मण्यम सुब्रह्मण्यम षण्मुखनाथ सुब्रह्मण्यम 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 काशीनाथ सुब्रह्मण्यम 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 षण्मुखनाथ सुब्रह्मण्यम शिव 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 सुब्रह्मण्यम हर 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 सुब्रह्मण्यम शिव शिव हर हर सुब्रह्मण्यम हर हर शिव शिव सुब्रह्मण्यम शिव शिव हर हर सुब्रह्मण्यम हर हर शिव शिव सुब्रह्मण्यम 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 षण्मुखनाथ सुब्रह्मण्यम 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 षण्मुखनाथ सुब्रह्मण्यम
Sir, I'm Dr. Mohan and a warm welcome to you to the
Sai Ram.
studios of Radio Sai. World over, people know you as someone who has worked tirelessly in the area of diabetes for more than 3 decades, and they know you as the chairman and chief diabetologist of Dr. Mohan's group of diabetic institutions present in India and abroad. But for all of us Sai devotees, you are a Sai doctor, you are the convener of Bhajans Trust, Sri Sathya Sai Trust, Tamil Nadu. So it would be really very useful for us to know what are Bhagwan's directions on diabetes management, control, prevention, that perhaps you might have received directly from Swami.
I am very privileged to answer this question because in one of the rare interviews that I have had with Swami, and I treasure it very much till today, the interview was going on and suddenly he turned to me and he said, "Doctor, why is diabetes increasing in India?" So at that time we had made a small breakthrough in one of our genetics research. So I thought he is referring to some new genetic discovery. So I said, "Is it genes, Swami?" So he frowned at me and he said, no, not genes, something else. So I said, people are not walking nowadays, Swami, lack of exercise. Yes, that is correct. But there is something else which you have not looked at in your own research, and that is why I am asking you, he said. So I said, Swami, I don't know. Then he said, rice, white rice is one of the reasons why sugar is increasing. And then he turned around to the others and said, you know, this white rice is polished. And so when you take lots of it, people are taking too much of this white rice. So it increases the sugar level. When it increases the sugar level, the insulin goes up. Then all the insulin from the pancreas goes away. Then they become diabetic. Then the sugar goes up. So this is the main reason. And he told me, your data, you have got it. Go and look at it, he said. And if you substitute it with either brown rice or ragi, then he told me, I take sangati, you know that ragi ball, I take that. Sugar doesn't go up, he said. Go and look at it, he said. So I went back to my database and I said, see, Swami has said like this, let's take out. We had collected all the data, but we didn't even think about it. When we looked at it, we were amazed that there was a direct correlation between the prevalence of diabetes in Chennai and the amount of carbohydrate, that is white rice, which was consumed. So if you took 200 grams of carbohydrate, you had a certain percentage of diabetes. Those who took 400 grams of carbohydrate, just 200 grams more, the diabetes prevalence went up 4 times. And this is after correcting for obesity and all other physical activity and everything else. So for the first time, we are able to show that white rice is directly linked to it. And this directly came from Swami. It is published in the British Journal of Nutrition. Then we went ahead and substituted this white rice with brown rice, and lo and behold, the sugar levels came down. So Swami gave very clear instructions. He said, cut down on the rice, if possible change it or change the type of rice to less polished rice. Take either wheat or ragi, it is better, less slowly absorbed than this white rice. Take plenty of vegetables, and then you have to walk every day. Physical activity is very important, exercise is very important, and most of all, reduce your tension, stress. Of course, Swami in another context said, hari, worry, curry, he has said. Yes. In fact, when he said that, I told him, hari, worry, curry. But he said, that is for heart disease, he said.
Yes.
For heart disease, you will worry, curry, hurry. But part of it also relates to diabetes, because hurry and worry, hurry becomes, you become a type A personality, always trying to do something. So all your hormones get increased. So Swami has very clearly showed that. And reduction of stress, Swami has given so much of importance to pranayama. Yes. The breathing, how you do. So the slow, deep inhalation and exhalation, so hum. So the breathing that you do, pranayama, and yoga and meditation helps to calm you. So that brings down the diabetes and the blood pressure. So Swami has in several places given clear instructions, and also within the vegetables which ones to take, which ones not to take. In the Sai literature it is there. In fact, there's a book on food and Swami. They have actually compiled everything. So sattvic food generally.
If you can spend little time and tell listeners about this, the kind of food that they should take.
Yes. So basically what he says is cut down on the starchy vegetables and fruit. For example, rice, potato, beetroot, these are all starchy vegetables. So those things have to be avoided. Lot of green leafy vegetables, whether it is beans or greens or spinach or cabbage or cauliflower, all these are vegetables which are very, very good. So all the green leafy vegetables, those which are under the ground are usually more starchy. Those which are above the ground are good. So the way Swami has said is that take less of rice. When you take a plate, what we do, first of all, we put all the rice. Then only side dishes we put something else. What Swami's concept is, you first put a lot of vegetables on the plate.
Okay.
And then take a lot of these grams, pulses. Papu will always say a lot of grams and pulses. It's very rich in protein. In fact, Swami has written clearly in his book for vegetarians. World over, people are afraid that if you become vegetarian, you will become thin, your muscles will go, you will become a weakling and so on. Swami says no. There is enough vegetable protein available, either in the form of milk or in the form of dals and all the protein and the sprouts and the grams, and if you include all that, plenty of the tofu, soya bean, Bengal gram, green gram, black gram, all these are very, very rich sources of protein.
But
and they are high class proteins.
They say there are some kind of protein which are there in non-veg food that you cannot get in veg food. What is your take on that?
There is scientifically it is correct, because if you look at the essential amino acids, if you see, in rice, for example, lysine is absent, okay, but there is excess of methionine. If you use the pulses, methionine is absent, but lysine is more. So Swami says very clearly, eat them together. So when you combine the rice and the grams together, excess of one is made up by the other. So if one is having less of lysine, it is there in the grams. If one is having less of methionine, it is there in the other. So if you combine both together, it becomes first class quality protein of the best biological value, equal to any animal protein. It's only when you eat it in isolation, suppose you take only the rice and you cut out all that, naturally you will not only be deficient in protein, you will be deficient in some other types of protein also. I don't think if you actually choose it properly and use it properly, you get the same essential amino acid composition as a non-vegetarian food. And I don't think it is right to say that vegetarians will be deficient in this or the other. Sometimes it can be little deficiency of B12. And B12 you can always supplement, either in a capsule form or B12 comes in other thing. So you can always substitute, in some of the nuts there is B12, some of the seeds there is B12, flax seeds and so on. So there are other ways in which you can get that.
Wonderful. So as you are saying this, what comes to me is, there is so much of correlation between spirituality, being a Sai devotee, and diabetes.
Absolutely. I think they are both intertwined and you cannot separate one from the other.
Yeah, I think if you are a devotee, it will help you to become healthy also.
Definitely, because Swami's principles, he says a healthy body only can have a healthy mind first, because he says the body is a temple of the mind. So if the temple itself is polluted or it is unhealthy, how the mind can be pure? So first we must look after the body. That's why Swami always says give lot of importance to your body's needs also, because unless the body is strong, how can you serve others? Swami himself said that hands that help are holier than lips that pray. If your hands are weak, how can you serve? So for that, I think Swami gives a lot of importance to nutrition, to rest, to sleep. In the ashram, 9 o'clock lights out. Why? You can keep on working up to 1 o'clock in the morning. The next day you can't do your work. So that is why Swami, I think from the beginning has trained all Sai devotees to have a disciplined life. Eat in time, have enough time with the family, have positive thoughts always, not negative thoughts, get enough sleep, all these things, and then eat nutritious food, and anything in excess is bad. Swami talks about the 5 white poisons, no? White rice, sugar, salt, maida, and even milk in excess. Even milk in excess is bad. You can have a glass of milk to get some calcium and some protein, but you have 10 glasses of milk, that milk is meant for the cow, for the calf, not for human beings. So if you drink too much of milk, certain cancers are linked to that. If you take salt, blood pressure. So you can limit your salt intake, because if you take too much salt, blood pressure. If you take too much of sugar, it leads to diabetes. And similarly, maida and so on. So the 5 white poisons which Swami says, if we avoid it or take it in moderation, I think they take care of our health.
And if we look at India today, they say there are 6.3 crore people in India who are afflicted with this disease, and if you look at the list of countries, we come only next to China. Second. It's a very depressing situation. But more and more what we see is youngsters are getting afflicted with this disease.
Yes.
So can you please share, what we can do so that, at least Sai youth, Sai youngsters are healthy? What is it that they should bring the shift in their lifestyle so that, they are strong enough to do Bhagwan's work, to find fulfillment in their lives?
I can see you have done your homework very well. But the number is, unfortunately, that 6.3 crores or 63 million was last year. This year's figures have just been released on November 14th, World Diabetes Day this year.
Yes.
And it's going to be officially released on December 1st in Melbourne at the World Congress, where I'll also be there. The official release but the figures are already out. It's 65 million now.
65 million.
So it's 6.5 crore people now in India. China has also moved up a little bit, but we are still in second place, very much ahead of the third country, which is US, which is only 2.4 crore people. We are 3 times that of US. So the problem, you hit the nail on the head. See, it's not just having diabetes. Many years ago, diabetes is considered a social status symbol. So people used to say, I've got my Mercedes Benz, now I have to get little diabetes to be accepted as a big man in society. Today all that has changed, because it is moving from the rich to the middle class to the poor. A poor man, if he gets diabetes, almost 25% of his income he has to spend on that one disease. So 25% of income is gone just to buy his medicines. So he can't afford it. So what he's going to do is he's going to neglect his diabetes completely. Okay. Second problem, as you rightly said, it used to be a disease of older people. So 50, 60, 70 years we get it. Takes another 20 years to get complications. So 90 years if we get complications, India's lifespan is only 65 years. So we don't have to worry too much about 95-year-old person whether he may get complications or not. If we all live up to that, that itself is a blessing. But from there it started coming to 40s, 30s, 20s. Today, 12-year-old, 13-year-old children are coming. I'm not talking about the insulin-dependent type 1. That comes separately anyway. But that's not a common thing. It's not increased in epidemic proportion. But the usual adult onset is now coming because of obesity, childhood obesity. And we as Sai devotees, what we have to do is encourage every one of our youth as well as the children in all our Sai schools. I think physical activity must be given a lot of importance. Second, the reason why this obesity is coming, and that obesity is leading to diabetes, is junk food. People are eating all kinds of junk food. Instead of drinking water, they are drinking cola. They think it's more fashionable to drink that. In fact, abroad, sometimes mineral water will be costlier than the cola. They make it in cans and this, and in a machine, fountain machine, you can go and take the thing almost for free. So everybody starts drinking that. Calorie content goes up. In a small cola, you have 12 cubes of sugar. Can you imagine? A small cola. So if you take that 5 times a day, 60 cubes of sugar you have taken. The amount, and you multiply that 365, you're talking about thousands and thousands of cubes of sugar. So these are not small things. When you drink water, clean water, it is 0 calories. So in our SSS VIP villages where we work, I think providing clean drinking water, telling our villagers, telling wherever we work, the SRAI organization, drink water. I think that's a very, very healthy thing that we can tell, and that's why Swami has given drinking water to everyone. If you link it to his project, somehow it will come, because he believed that water is essential for life, and without that, that is why the Sai Water Project is a landmark in the whole world. Nobody, no organization, no single individual in the history of mankind has supplied millions of people with drinking water.
Yes. In fact, when we talk about Bhagwan's healthcare mission,
yes,
we talk about Bhagwan's hospitals
yes,
and free clinics elsewhere. But other day, this thought came that we don't talk about Bhagwan's water project when we talk about healthcare.
Exactly.
But actually, it is so linked.
They're linked, because if you give clean water, they won't get infection, they won't get diarrhea, children won't die, your lifespan will increase. See, many of India's children die before 5 years of age. If you see the under 5's deaths, India is doing very badly. It's improving. Many states have improved. The southern states at least now are much better, but the northern states, some are in a very pitiable condition. If those children make it beyond 5 years, then they're okay. They live their normal life. Then they go to 30, 40, 50 years like a normal person. But what if they die when they're 2 years old due to diarrhea? That is where water comes in. That is why Swami has been so very kind and merciful in giving water to water-starved places where they were drinking water which is undrinkable. Many of the places it's polluted. Many of the places they have toxins in arsenic in the water, or fluoride in the water, very high contents and so on. So Swami, within his infinite mercy and his love, divine love, limitless love, has provided drinking water and that is so closely related to health. So I don't think I can actually separate it. And education. Education only gives you the basis for all this. That is why the education is also. So all the three are like a triangle. One fits into the other.
And when you talk about education, I was just reminded of reading that same report. It says that 50% of people with diabetes, according to International Diabetic Federation, do not know that they have the disease.
That is a problem. So that is why, again, if you go back to Swami's mobile hospitals, everywhere there is a link. What are they doing? They are going and advising people, raising awareness, not specifically about diabetes, but specifically about health and so on. But today, as the communicable diseases are getting controlled to some extent, TB started coming down, HIV is thankfully almost gone, other diseases are coming down, many are preventable. So once you control all that, today if you think of what are the things due to which people are dying in India, already 60% of all deaths in India are due to non-communicable diseases, which includes diabetes, hypertension, heart disease and cancer as the 4 major causes of death. Only after that then there's injuries, another 10-15%. Only after that communicable diseases are coming. So while communicable diseases are still important in areas where we still have many of the backward states, still people are dying due to tuberculosis or malaria, so those kind of things still have to be looked into. They will also improve. In the next 5 to 10 years, they'll catch up with the rest of, just like we are catching up with the West, the rural will catch up with the urban, the North, now the South has become a little more advanced, so North will catch up with the South, and some of the backward states, Northeast will catch up with the rest of India. It's all going to happen. It's a question of 5 years, 10 years. Then ultimately we'll be stuck with this problem, of non-communicable diseases. So for that, right now healthy messages have to start. And I think in our Sai organization, we are already doing it. We're doing camps, we're doing mobile hospitals, we're now trying to extend that to the whole country. These health messages, so one of the things which leads to this affluence.
Yes.
So one of my reviewers of a paper from a British journal, humorously the reviewer wrote to me, okay, you're showing that at that time, 10-15 years, no longer true, now it's caught up. But 15 years ago when I published one of the reports from Chennai, the poor people had very little diabetes, the middle class had more. So the reviewer humorously wrote, so is your solution to make everyone poor in India? So they won't get diabetes. Because when they become rich, they're going to get diabetes. So what are you going to do? I said, no, I wrote back, no, our aim is to educate the rich man and the middle man so that his diabetes won't come, That is what we should do.
So they say diabetes is a disease of development, and if you want to develop, if you want to increase your standard of living, then you have to get the disease.
Partly true, partly not true. Partly true if you don't take the corrective measures, because what happens with development is you eat more, your exercise will come down. See, a guy who's going on a cycle or walking now buys a scooter. His exercise totally gone. Others used to walk 4 kilometers. If you take the villages around Puttaparthi now, compare it to what it was 30-40 years ago. Now I'm sure every house there will have a motorbike, it will have a television, it will have this, it will have that. All the developments you can see happening there. all that leads to a decrease in physical activity, increase in tension and stress, because now we are trying to meet American deadlines, trying to meet the youngsters are trying to work in all these back offices, trying to BPOs and trying to work to American time. So stress level, your sleep goes, and then when they sit there, what do? They'll be ordering in a pizza or a burger or drinking cola, and that's what they're doing. So all these are leading to diabetes. Not the development which has occurred, the wrong habits which came because of the development. As a Sai devotee, if we teach them, you do all that, you earn more, but also see that you keep 1 hour for exercise every day. Eat healthy home food. Have all those things only occasionally. Don't change your whole lifestyle and think this is the new style. Now that I become a corporate person, this is how I do. Not necessary. You can still take your usual home food. Once in a week, go out and have something, or once in a month, go out and have something. So once those messages we build in along with our Sai messages, when you go to SSV villages and so on, if we start bringing in these messages, we'll have a healthier India. Some people may ask, is that our priority? We have got so much of other work to do, shouldn't we be teaching them how to wash your hands? Well, teach that also. We are not saying don't teach that, Wash your hands 5 times a day, use soap and water, okay, keep yourself clean, wash your hands after you come up, back from work, wash your hands before you think, teach children to do that, teach them hygiene, teach them all that you teach, okay. Along with that, also teach them exercise, teach them some yoga, teach them stress reduction. Today, with development, another thing is happening is suicide rates are going up. Children can't face the competition, When you need 99.8% marks to get into a medical college today, how many can reach that? Become 99, you're a failure, So children who have studied, they don't have money to pay to a private college, to a private medical college, engineering college, they don't have money. They have to get into the government system. And there into the government system, when you say 99.8% is your cut point, 99.6 is a failure then, So in Swami's institutions, there is no first and second. We know that. Everybody is first. So you should not think about marks, but about remarks. That's what Swami says. So everywhere, Swami has given those messages that is more important to be first in life, not first in the examination. So how do we prepare them for that wholesome education? And that is where I think Swami's Swarna Yuga concept comes in. Because Swami has said that Swarna Yuga will come, that India will be a world leader, that the world itself will be harmonious, that the universal brotherhood is going to come. All that he has said. How is it going to come? Not through old people like us, who have already passed through the generation, but from youngsters. And where are those youngsters coming? We have got 100 Sai schools. These Sai schools are producing 50,000 school children who are taught ideals of Swami, okay, who are different. They are our hope for the future. Now, when these people come out, when they have a good education, they are going to come up in life, they are going to become collectors, they are going to become, bureaucrats, they are going to become doctors, lawyers and so on. They are going to follow ethical principles in life as taught by Swami and his institutions. That is the future. That is the Swarna Yoga which is going to come. It is so much it is deteriorated today that a sea change has to come, and that is why Swami has given so much of importance to his students. He always says, my students come first. Sometimes we used to feel jealous. He always says his students only come first. He has given so much importance. Now we understand why he is giving so much of importance to them, because he sees them as his ambassadors who are going to carry his messages into the next generation. And they are the people who are going to change India, change the world. Okay. Today, when one of Swami's students goes for employment anywhere, let it be a multinational company anywhere, the moment they see Satya Sai institution, they grab them. Because they know they will not be corrupt, they will be ethical, they will do what is the best, because that is how they have been taught to do. That itself is a great thing, isn't it? So I think that is where integration of all these values, education, human values that Swami has taught, which has come through all his schools, and the children and the succeeding generations which are going to come, that is the hope for India. And that is the hope for the world.
भवतु। ॐ जय जगदीश हरे स्वामी सत्य साई हरे, भक्त जना संरक्षक, भक्त जना संरक्षक, पति महेश्वरा। ॐ जय जगदीश हरे, शशिवदना श्रीकरा सर्वा प्राणपते, स्वामी सर्वा प्राणपते, आश्रित कल्पलतिका, आश्रित कल्पलतिका, आपद्बान्धवा। ॐ जय जगदीश हरे, मातपिता गुरुदैवमु मरि अन्तयु नीवे, स्वामी मरि अन्तयु नीवे, नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथ, नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथ, नागेन्द्रशयना। ॐ जय जगदीश हरे, ओंकार रूप ओजस्वी हो साई महादेवा, सत्य साई महादेवा। मंगल आरती अंधुको, मंगल आरती अंधुको, मंदर गिरिधारी। ओम जय जगदीश हरे, नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम, नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम, सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम। जय सद्गुरुदेवा, नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम, नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम, सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम। जय सद्गुरुदेवा, नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण 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 ओम, नारायण नारायण ओम सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम, सत्य नारायण नारायण ओम। जय सद्गुरुदेवा। शांति शांति शांति, समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु, समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु, समस्त लोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की।